I discovered Let's Start Here from Questlove's Instagram story, one of our most knowledgeable relics on the earth today. And he's always just putting out incredible tidbits. And I believe that he got the name Questlove in school because he was always asking questions, and they used to call him Question. Yeah, he said something like, "Okay, Lil Yachty," and I was going to bed one night and I put it on my Bluetooth next to my bed, and I had prepped myself well for bed, properly stoned, and I closed my eyes and this album came on and I was like, wow.
This week's request comes from Jeff Franca. Jeff plays drums for the touring configuration of Thievery Corporation. They're the ones that did that song Lebanese Blonde from the Garden State soundtrack. Jeff, along with Hash Vias, the bassist for Thievery Corporation, were artists at Roots Rock Revival for a couple of years. And both are amazing musicians. Really good teachers, too. I still think about the reggae class they taught. That first year that Jeff attended, some of the kids had O'Teal learn the song Too High by Stevie Wonder from the Intervisions album, which they had me up on at the Roadhouse. When the song was over, out of instinct more than anything else, I immediately started in on the next song, Visions, which Jeff ran up and sang. And before I knew it, Jeff and I had gone through the entire side one of Intervisions. Turns out Jeff is just as much a Stevie Wonder fan as I am. A couple years later, we put together a one-time tour of Colorado with a tribute project we called the Family Peach, along with my sister Melody, my good friend Eric Sanders on second drums, Bill McKay on keyboards, and Todd Smalley on bass, both who had played with Derek at one point, and then local phenom James Dumm on slide guitar. Best part was getting to see more of Colorado. It really is beautiful out there. Plus, it gave Eric the idea, which eventually led to Brother and Sister. And these days, Jeff also has a project called Ethno, where he simultaneously DJs and plays all manner of percussion. If you haven't already heard the Ethno EP Musicology Volume 1, highly encourage you to check it out. And Jeff recommended Let's Start Here by Lil Yachty. And let me tell you something, this recommendation has me very, very excited. One of my all-time favorite things in music is when an artist defies all expectations by making an album outside the field that they're known for. Hot Rats. Frank Zappa puts aside the doo-wop and the Perez and makes an instrumental fusion album, one of the first of the genre. What's going on? Marvin Gaye decides he wants to stop being a bubblegum teen heartthrob, grows a beard, and makes an anti-war protest album. Awaken My Love. Childish Gambino abandons all of the trappings of hip-hop and makes a hard funk album in the style of early Funkadelic. Igor. Tyler, the Creator, makes what is essentially an instrumental album. Well, there's vocals, but at its heart, it's an instrumental album with some of the most inventive arrangements of any album in the past 10 years. So knowing Jeff, I'm guessing that Lil Yachty has done something similar with Let's Start Here. Only one way to find out. That's true. So how about let's start here. Yes. Right back, y'all.
Abandon all ideas of what they might think Lil Yachty is. I've been preaching about this album since it came out all around Denver, and everybody's like, oh, pull up to a gig. What are you listening to? Of course, I'm listening to Lil Yachty. And everybody kind of scoffs, and I'm like, listen, you got to give it a chance, because I think people are assuming that it's going to be another, trap, because he kind of blew up in the trap world, and I think people are assuming. But since I've discovered this album and gone back and listened to some other of his music, down the Spotify rabbit hole or just whatever it presents you after the album's over, you can kind of hear the interest in the departure in his earlier work. Little kind of like foreshadowings of psychedelia and whatnot, but this album just completely flips the script.
I got maybe 2 minutes into the album when I had to stop it, run into the other room, and play this bit for Emily. I didn't say who it was, I just said, tell me who this sounds like. I mean, do I even need to tell you that she immediately said Pink Floyd? You hear it too, don't you? Let's Start Here is not a rap album. It has a few moments in which you can hear a hip-hop influence, but mostly it's a psychedelic affair. Pink Floyd, sure, but also like maybe Tame Impala, somewhere in there. And I am very tempted to go off at length about the song titles, particularly why they're capitalized and punctuated the way they are. Yeah, but this ain't really a grammar show, so I think we'll let Lil Yachty slide this time. That's not his real name, you know. Well, I kind of figured it was. No, it's actually Raymond. Raymond Luxury Yacht.
That's not my name.
Sorry, Raymond Luxury Yacht.
No, it's spelt Raymond Luxury Yacht, but it's pronounced Throat Wobbler Mangrove.
This album starts with the Black Seminole period. Yes, there's auto-tune, but everything else about it, from the arpeggiated monosynth to the guitar tones, to the laid-back groove, to the tempo changes, it's all psychedelic prog, lifted straight from mid-70s Pink Floyd. The Ride is decidedly more modern but also lower key. Still has some psychedelia, but feels like filler. Larry Graham-style slap bass and some Brecker Brothers-sounding horns to open Running Out of Time, which transitions into a groovy set of changes. I love the 6 minor to the flat 6 major 7 he throws right in the middle. That's so cool. Pretty is the first of several songs in which the vocals are processed through a tremolo effect, giving them a kind of pop staples sound. Aside from that, though, this song would probably work well to set a mood, but the music itself isn't all that interesting to me. Just a 4-bar 1-4 repeated for the entire song. Though the lyrics are a bit on the caliente side. Side 2 starts with : open parentheses, failure, open parentheses, : a short little spoken word with accompaniment piece, stylistically similar to Melvin Van Peebles or Gil Scott-Heron, only more personal and with trippier music.
Well, I've seen failure a few times. More recently than before, actually.
More psychedelic prog in The Zone, but with some Eddie Hazel sounding guitar coming and going throughout. That and a big Vox Continental transistor organ sound over the top at one point.
I never meant to make it.
And The Zone, transitions right into We Saw the Sun! The standout thing for me on this track is the occasional use of the minor 5. It's a very specific, almost alternative rock kind of a sound. There's a mid-70s pop funk feel a la Earth, Wind & Fire or Kool and the Gang for Drive Me Crazy. The vocals have a good amount of disco feel as well. Well, disco mixed with like Edie Brickell.
When you put it all out, if you know me, you know I'm mine. Someone like me is hard to find.
Side 3 starts with, one moment, I've officially lost vision! After about a minute of sound effects going through like a bucket brigade delay, we get another funkadelic style early 70s hard funk jam, this time with a quiet kind of piano and voice bridge section.
I've officially lost vision. I've been sent to a mental prison. I've been forced to make some care.
Then, following some weird workout sounds at the end of the song, like it literally sounds like he's outside jogging through gravel, comes Say Something. Similar vibe to the Ride on side 1. Filler perhaps? Still trippy.
You got so much passion for you. You listen and make signals to me.
Paint the Sky has an almost Kate Bush-inspired keyboard-heavy soundscape behind the heavily processed vocals. The drums even have a bit of that 80s style gated reverb. And side 4, which starts with Should I Be? The denseness of the arrangement and the stilted groove all feel very much like 80s alternative, like the Smiths or the Cure, but it still has that same high processed vocal performance over it all. The energy goes way up on the intro to The Alchemist period, which after a break falls back down into something a lot more groovy, right? And finally Reach the Sunshine period. A harmonically interesting, if quiet intro abruptly transitions into heavy psychedelic prog for about 8 bars before it goes back down again. And then it repeats that cycle. Very much in the Court of the Crimson King kind of pattern to this song.
I'm a bad man.
It eventually quiets down to just piano, mellotron, and voice, and then to just the same synth arpeggio that starts the album. First spin and my initial thought is, well, I think we might have something in Let's Start Here that I would have thought wouldn't be possible in today's music scene. What we have is an hour-long complete album over 2 LPs, whose function seems to be one of listening on headphones and blissing out to the sounds. No emphasis on singles, no overarching concept, just an hour-long psychedelic soundscape designed to be a kind of headspace. And not relegated to obscurity, wonder of wonders. Let's Start Here is ranked in the Billboard's list of the best albums of 2023 at number 8, and ranked 4th on Rolling Stone's list. Well, as usual though, I have a lot more listening to do before I can come to any final conclusions. Still, this is looking to be a fun week. Wonder if my old blacklight still works. Back after this.
It is pushing me, one, to learn to record drums better. It has inspired me to write more lyrics. It has inspired me to download auto-tune. It has reminded me every day, every moment, every second is an opportunity to level up and to get better and to represent yourself. And there's like, you're not tied to the past. Like, you're not tied to your past works. They're over. They're out, you know? Like, it's always okay to reinvent. It's a necessary process, and just incorporating more of my live playing in my production and less programming.
You guys remember Astrid, my kid in college? Well, this spring, they'll be graduating. With a degree in music technology, hoping to become an engineer or a producer. I bring this up because of some of the issues I had looking up the credits on Let's Start Here. The musician's credits include lots of vocals, 1 keyboard player, 1 strings director, and 1 person credited with programming. But each song also includes a list of producers' names, because in this context, that's what a producer is. Not just the person who assembles the individual performances into its final form, but now it also means the person responsible for producing the sounds you hear. By any means they can. So let's pretend you're a producer on a modern project. And let's say that you feel a particular song needs, a sack butt. Well, that means it's your job as a producer to either find and hire someone who can play the sack butt, find a good sounding sack butt virtual instrument, or just play the sack butt yourself. So for that reason, it's pretty much impossible to say who the guitar player was on the Black Seminole, for example. The producers on that song are Lil Yachty, Wimberly, Justin Raisin, Sad Pony, and Portrait. So maybe one of them? Maybe none of them? I don't know. But regardless of who made the sounds on Let's Start Here, or how for that matter, I truly hope that what we're seeing is a further breakdown of the walls separating the different genre spaces in music. In fact, and I think this might give you the best idea of what this album is actually all about, you know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see a laser light show at the planetarium set to the music of Let's Start Here. Have to be an 18+ event. Really what I've learned from all of this is that the current generation, like past several generations, it has stoners, it has experimental musicians, it has pop stars, and every once in a while it has someone who's all 3, and something cool like this can happen. So my final thoughts on a scale of 1 to 10, I give Let's Start Here by Lil Yachty a hyphen, a tilde, 2 colons, 2 open parentheses, 3 periods, and 7 exclamation points. That's a lot of punctuation! See you next week.